Okay, today we are sewing Jemimas, and we're going to do this step by step. The first step in the pattern, after you've got everything cut out, is to sew all the little things. So we are going to do that right now. I'm going to use my serger for this, and only at one point when I do the gathering stitch will I move to my sewing machine. I'm using black as a coordinating color, but I'm not going to change out my serger thread. It'll be okay for this one. If you were concerned, you could change out your left needle. The little things consist of the hemband, the armbands, the shoulder seams, and the cowl, or if you're doing a neckband, or the turtleneck. This is how I like to sew most of the time. I consider it assembly line style, and it just kind of makes things go a little bit faster when you get all of these little things sewn up first. I always like to make sure and turn everything inside out or right side out, and adjust the seams on the inside. I always like to go ahead and get my clips ready. These are all optional things, but I feel like they really help speed the process along once you're going. You know, if this stuff is done, I'm good to go. So this is how I like to do it, just like this. So I'm gonna do it to the other one, and then we will move on to the cowl. That's the one I am making today. The neckband, there are several videos with neckbands, as well as the turtleneck is done the same way as the cowl. So if you choose to do the turtleneck option, then that's done the same way. And neckband, there's lots of videos to watch how to put a neckband on. So if you need one of those, just search for it, and I'm sure you'll be able to find it relatively easy. This is a striped fabric, and I definitely did my best to try to stripe match, but I don't know that it will be super accurate, but I did try. So, all right. And I'm gonna go ahead, because on the hemband, we mark in 4 spots, kind of like you would on a neckband. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark my 4 spots, matching my center back and center front, and then going out to the side and figuring out that, marking that, and the other side as well. And once we've done that, now we're gonna move on to the cowl and the shoulder seams. Now your cowl neck or turtleneck, you're going to notice is kind of a big piece. This is the cowl. You cut it on the fold, and you're gonna sew, put right sides together, and you're gonna sew the top of the cowl. So you see how this is the side seam? I'm gonna sew the top. Again, I am aware that this is pink and white thread. It's all right. Okay, so then you're gonna open it up all the way, and again, you have this massive piece, and you're gonna do the side. So the best way for me to describe that is match your 2 seams here. And then you're gonna sew this long side seam here. It's really like the back seam, but it's really long. Can't even get it in frame, that's how long it is. And you're just gonna sew that. Okay, now that you're done with that, you have your cowl sewn, and you're gonna turn it right side out and meet these 2 seams. Well, it's not really right side out because you're putting right sides together, but you're gonna basically be meeting these 2 seams that are under here. And this is going to be your neckline now. So this will go on your pattern, and this seam will be in the back, and this will be your neck, and then this is the cowl part like this. It'll hang like this on your garment. Okay, so we'll go over how to add that here in just a few minutes. Okay, next we're going to sew the shoulder seams. And this is a dolman style, so it does not have set-in sleeves. Just keep it here, just waste less thread. Go. Okay. So we have our shoulder seams. So now we're going to put on the sleeve. Take the top piece, and I have it marked. I have my center marked, and I'm going to put my center on the shoulder seam. To here with that end piece, clip that, and the same for the other side. And then you're gonna just sew a straight line to sew that on. Just going to clip in a couple more places so I know for sure it's in the right spots and everything's good. Right, and let's go to the other side. This is a not a fitted pattern, so keep that in mind when you're making it. It is a looser fit pattern. And now we're gonna sew these together. Okay, so now I'm just putting the cowl piece on, and I'm matching the front and back of the cowl to the front and back of the neck or the neck of the pattern. And just going to go around. It should be relatively one-to-one. You shouldn't need to stretch it too terribly much, if at all. Hopefully not at all. I don't think at all. Because it's a cowl, you really don't want to stretch it, because then it will lay funny. So you don't have to find 4 points or anything like that. And that should be the same for the turtleneck. The neckband will be different. You will have to stretch the neckband to fit, but not the cowl. And if you've sewn with me before, you know that I always sew a neckband, a cuff, a turtleneck, whatever, on the inside circle. And I have a whole video explaining it, but I like to make for sure that I do it every time I make another video, in case it's your first time watching, just so you know what I'm talking about. So this is a circle. So this is the inside circle, and this out here is the outside circle. So what we do is we put the presser foot down on the inside circle, and this will come in handy if you have tiny little cuffs or something of that nature. That would come in handy for this method. Okay, so you put it in like this, and then you sew around, and you'll watch and see how everything kind of stays on top, and you're not having to go around the machine, but you're making the machine work for you. Everything kind of just stays on top. Nicely sewn in cowl neck or neckband or what have you, and we were able to see it the whole time. Okay, now we're going to sew the side and underarm seams. have cuffs and hemband, and we're done. So now we're gonna gather. We've gathered up our sleeve, and what we're gonna do, I always put the bobbin thread as the bottom thread, and that's the one, or the bobbin thread is on the wrong side because that's the thread that you want to pull. So always just pull those. This is the super balloon sleeve with a little bit of extra, so I'm going to grab my piece, and you're not going to be stretching this at all to meet. So I'm going to clip here at the seams, and before you do anything else, I'm going to just check how much more needs to be gathered, and just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is pull these and tie them. And these are my two ends, and this way it's all gathered up and it won't come undone. There we go. And then it's all gathered the exact length that I need, and I can match those up. You may have to play with it a little bit. Gathering is kind of like that. It's not an exact science, so sometimes it needs just a little bit of playing and moving around and all of that. So make it work for you. Get it lined up as best you can. And you're gonna sew on the inside circle for this as well. Typically I would tell you to sew on the gathered side, but you can't really do that for this particular project because you need to sew, because the cuffs are so small, so you're gonna just have to make for sure that your gathers are done well and in good placement. This is the best way for me to describe it, because typically you would want to sew so that you can see your gathers, but that's not really an option for this pattern. So we're going to get those sewn on. Keep an eye on those gathers, that's all I have to say. As you sew, make sure they're flat. Make sure you're not missing. Make sure you're catching everything. Basting stitch out, and you'll have your gathered sleeve. Relatively simple. we'll do the hem. So we marked previously on our hemband, we marked the 4 places. So now we're going to use the side seams as one, and then we're going to mark based on putting our side seams together, mark the front, and mark the back. Let me see which one's the back. Okay, here's my back. So I'm going to go to the back, go to my side seam, to my other side seam, and my front. And I'm going to just make these match. So need to stretch the hemband just a little bit to fit. Shouldn't be a ton. Just a little bit. Because if you did it too much, you'd have more of like a gathered, bubbly type thing going on. We don't want that. And then we're going to pull this one to fit. Just the same thing all the way around, and then you're going to sew it on the inside circle again, and then you're going to be done. Not too difficult. All right, here we go. Kind of just pulling and stretching on the hemband as you're going. Do not stretch the garment, only the band. See, it's kind of wavy back here. Once you press it, it won't be, but that's because you're stretching it. And that's okay. You just want it to be wavy on this side and not wavy here on your garment. That's it. Thank you so much for watching.